Hello. Hello. Are we good to go?
Yes, Shirley's going to be running a little bit late.
Okay. All right.
A housekeeping.
Thank you for participating in today's meeting. If attending in person, please do not connect to Zoom or teleconference while in the room, and please silence all devices. If translation is provided, click on the globe at the bottom of your screen to select either English or Spanish. Public comment will be taken after each item. If you're in the auditorium and wish to comment, please use the iPads located in the lobby or complete a blue speaker card as available. If you need assistance, please find a South Coast AQMD employee. Speakers may be limited to a total of 3 minutes or less for all agenda items. Times may be shortened to ensure all speakers can be heard. A countdown timer will be displayed on the screen for each public comment. More time will be allotted for Spanish translation that is not simultaneous. For questions or issues on making a public comment, please call the public advisor at 909-396-3247. That's 909-396-3247. Please adhere to the speaker time limit and treat others with courtesy, civility, and respect. Failure to do so can result in your mic being muted or you being removed from the meeting. Be aware that this meeting is being recorded. By participating, you authorize recording of audio and visual content presented during the live event and consent to subsequent use of the recording in the public domain by South Coast AQMD.
All right. We are ready to begin. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Fall Young Leaders Advisory Council meeting. I am truly, I'm happy to see y'all and to share space with you all. And so this meeting is being held at 12:30 at Wednesday, August 25th, through in-person attendance in CC8 of the South Coast AQMD headquarters. And I understand we have a couple of virtual locations as well. And so we are going to begin our meeting with the call to order. So I'll turn it over to Heather.
Very much. We're going to go ahead and get started with roll call. Gabriela Ballesteros. Here. Emmanuel Cruz.
Here.
Alexander Goitia.
Here.
Leslie Garcia. Mark Jimenez. Shirley Mayo Rivera, be coming a little bit late. Jordan Ashley Sophia. Emmanuel Jeffrey Alcantara Rodriguez.
Present.
Lynn Tran. She might be running a little bit late. Elizabeth Zamora. Here. Sylvester Lopez.
Here.
Andres Cornell.
Here.
Jose Marquez Cuevas. Heaven Denham. Here. Maya Itzel Rivas. Here. Julian Elise Salas. Absent. Inessa Malesio. Here. Dominic Rodriguez. Absent. Jessica Santos.
Present.
Joshua Shield.
Present.
Gilbert Sanchez.
Present.
We will have quorum. And we have to say, I need to see.
Can we get more chairs around the table?
You know what? You can take one and I'll get one of the.
Don't forget. Oh, they just brought him a chair. Forget.
Go ahead and use this. I appreciate you.
So Heather, I'm just a little off on the roster isn't the same that's on the roster here. It's on the sheet here. They're not in the same order.
Oh, that may have been just my notes. My apologies. I have them listed phonetically for myself.
Okay, got it. So I'm just making sure. So can we just do this so we can make sure that's in alignment?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So let's just go through one more time based on the agenda that we have here.
Gabriela Ballesteros. Here. Emmanuel Cruz.
Here.
Alexander Goitia,
Here.
Leslie Garcia, absent. Mark Jimenez, absent. Shirley Rivera, running a little late. Jordan Salzman. Here. Lynn Trent. Absent. Sylvester Lopez,
Here.
Kai Wen, absent. Eric Thomas, absent. Roxana Barrera, absent. Andres Cornell,
Here.
Jose Marquez Cuevas.
Here.
Kevin Denham. Here. Vanessa Melesio.
Here.
Maya Itzel Rivas. Here. Dominic Rodriguez. Absent. Emmanuel Alcantara Rodriguez.
Present.
Jessica Santos.
Present.
Joshua Shield.
Present.
Gilbert Sanchez.
Present.
Elizabeth Samara.
Present.
We have one.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I just want to make sure it reflected that perfectly. Okay.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you so much for being here today. Today's meeting is I wouldn't say timely, but again, I'm always pleased to be in space with y'all's minds. In particular, I'm a real appreciative of a part of our agenda that encourages you all to share what is going on in your individual communities. I feel very strongly that when we are divided, when we are ignorant, when we do not know things, that makes us so much more susceptible and vulnerable. So I look forward to, again, being in space with you all and then allowing you all to have time to be able to share what's going on with your communities. I had similar interactions with community members, and which I'm happy to tell you all about. But even the folks who are doing this work are citing this as an unprecedented time. And the level by which people are feeling the pressure is truly daunting and overwhelming to them, and are needing to and wanting to be in space with one another just to be able to have some safety and some conversations and some networking and so forth. So I take that to heart in being in space with you all as well. So I look forward to hearing what's going on in your communities so that we can be better educated. So we're going to, our meeting today is going to review and approve the minutes. We're going to have a spotlight on our AQMD lab. So we're really excited to be able to share that with you. And so Stephen Dutz is our lab manager is going to walk us through that. Again, we're going to have our community spotlight, which is your opportunity to elevate or spotlight any issues or concerns or events that are happening within your particular communities. We will also share with you some of the upcoming engagement opportunities, community engagement opportunities that we ourselves are doing here at South Coast AQMD. And then we are very excited to have invite a community speaker. We heard what you all have mentioned in previous meetings about wanting to be in space with folks who are doing the work. And so in this meeting, I think in previous meeting, we had a staff person from South Coast. Then you got a chance to be able to speak to the governing board chair. And then now we're wanting to bring in a community organizer. So I think we're checking our boxes in terms of what you all have said that you have wanted from the YLAC group. And so we have invited Mark Lopez, who is the Eastside Community Organizer and Special Projects Coordinator for East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice. And so he's going to be joining us virtually, correct? Is that right, virtually? Yeah, thank you. And so that'll be a part of our meeting today. And then, of course, we'll have other business, public comment period, and then just adjournment. So I think that's our review of what the agenda is going to be today. I, again, could not be remiss without thanking Heather and members of the team for making this meeting happen. So the wonderful food and lunch from Palmetto, thank you so much. Is it Palmetto? Palmetto. I stand corrected. So anyway, so thank you all for making that happen, because I know, again, we could not do this and be in space with that. So excellent. All right, so meeting minutes. So I believe, see, it's been a minute. Do I open
Public comment
public comment on the
agenda.
agenda overview? Gotcha. All right, so is there any public comment for the review of the meeting agenda?
No hands online. And none in the room.
All right, excellent. Okay, so next up, we have review and approve minutes from our May 21st, 2025 meeting agenda. I believe they are attached. Were they sent out also electronically ahead of time?
Yes.
All right, and so then we also have that in our packet. So I would then call for a approval of the meeting minutes of the Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 agenda. Call for-
The meeting minutes?
Yes,
I'll motion to approve the meeting minutes.
motion to approve. Do I have a second? A second, please identify for the record, please.
Gabriella. Thank you.
Gabriella. Excellent. And then just want to acknowledge who just walked into the room?
Shirley Rivera.
All right, perfect. So Heather has that. Okay, so we have a first and a second for the meeting minutes. Any comments or questions about the meeting minutes? All right. So I guess we call for approval. So all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes, please signify by raising your hand. Hold on, we're waiting for Shirley to. We'll pause for a second. And thank you so much, Joshua, for being attended. All right, we're just pausing. There we go. All right, I'll restate. So all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes from the Wednesday, May 21st, 2025 Young Advisory Council, please signify by raising your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Meeting minutes are approved. One thing that I will also say to you all, we hit quite of a cool record. It's not that big of a record, but it's a cool thing. So we were able to get all of our meeting minutes approved. And we are sharing them after it gets approved here with the administrative committee. And so at the last administrative committee meeting that the meeting minutes came up, there was just so much real appreciation for your time from board members. So Vice Chair Cacchiotti, Governing Board Chair Vanessa Delgado, like we're just like, yes, they're like they read them and they were listening. So I just want to let you know, so us in our process of getting the meeting minutes to be approved and then shared with the admin committee, those processes are happening. So what you all are sharing in this place is getting shared with them. So just again, thank you so much. So we were able to hit a record because I think y'all remember when y'all first started, there had been a couple years where we hadn't had quorum. Can you imagine? And so we've had quorum and folks have been able to come in and I think that makes the board a better board, a more educated board about the issues that are going on in the communities from the lens that you all provide. So I thank you all again for your time and just let you know that that is happening. All right, so is there any public comment on the meeting minutes?
We do have a remote attendee that may be public comment. Hi there, who just joined with the 310 number asking for
It's
public comment.
Harvey Etter with the Public Solar Power Coalition.
Okay, we'll get the timer up for 2 minutes for you, Mr. Harvey. Give me just a second.
And do you have a public comment, Harvey?
I guess, are we at the end of the meeting already?
Yes, public comment is regarding the meeting minutes.
Regarding the meeting minutes, so we're reviewing public comment, so there's other items coming after the minutes, correct?
Yes, public comment after each item.
Okay, all right, no, I'll wait on, no comment in the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Etter.
Thank you so much, Mr. Header. All right. Okay, so next up, we have the South Coast AQMD Spotlight for the Lab. I think I saw Stephen come in. Oh, thank you. All right, so I will introduce Stephen Dutz. He's our lab manager who's going to give us an overview to look at our lab tour video by the Monitoring and Analysis Division, and we'll do Q&A. So I'll turn that over to you.
Sure. Well, I believe we got the video queued up to show. This is a video that we put together, I think, probably a couple of years ago for our governing board. Familiar. It was kind of a somewhat last minute thing that we did. So keep your expectations, you know, at that level. But yeah, why don't we show it and then we'll do a little Q&A afterward.
Okay.
The South Coast Basin has some of the worst air pollution in the nation. In the past, smog was so bad that it formed a visible brown haze that would cover the entire region, constantly blocking the views of buildings, mountains, and the ocean. The air quality in the basin has improved over time through the hard work of the South Coast AQMD, which has reduced air pollution significantly. Although we don't see smog with our eyes as much today, the air quality threat still persists. The South Coast AQMD monitoring network detects these harmful compounds day in and day out with sophisticated instruments. The air quality information is displayed in real time on our website and award-winning mobile app. The data is compared against the National Ambient Air Quality Standards. Additional compounds are measured to help provide insight on the sources of pollution and guide our air regulation priorities. In addition, through the use of powerful and adaptable tools such as mobile platforms, South Coast AQMD measures pollutants such as air toxics in environmental justice areas where there have been disproportionate burdens of air pollution in those communities. At the heart of this approach is integrity and innovation, and the laboratory shines in doing both. Laboratory results are the gold standard in any regulatory-based decision, and the lab does cutting-edge analysis that produces unrivaled chemical information for air quality investigations and incident response.
Welcome to one of the largest and most advanced air quality analytical laboratories in the nation. Here, a team of 50 chemists and technicians perform approximately 25,000 analyses per year in support of federal and state monitoring programs, special investigations, incident response, and other monitoring initiatives. Please join us on a tour as our team members highlight a few areas of our laboratory.
Welcome to our environmentally controlled weigh room, where approximately 6,000 filters are processed annually in support of the federal monitoring program for PM 2.5. Prior to sampling, each filter is inspected, conditioned, then tiered on the microbalance. Sampled filters are returned to the lab and final weights are determined. Results from this analysis are used to determine attainment of the National Ambient Air Quality Standard and for trends analysis.
And we are standing in front of a gas chromatograph mass spectrometer. This is currently used for analysis of paints and coatings and other various liquid samples that are brought into the lab in support of various rules. The way that we do this is we take a little bit of sample, a small aliquot of the liquid, we dilute it into a solvent, and then we inject it into this injection system. And we have two detectors in the system that can tell us what is present in the sample as well as how much is present in the sample.
This is the laboratory's scanning electron microscope with energy dispersive X-ray spectroscopy, or SEM for short. We use this instrument to look at very small particles and understand their morphology, their shape, and their composition so that we can get a better idea of their characteristics and sources. This is the laboratory's mobile platform, which houses a proton transfer reaction time-of-flight mass spectrometer. This is a research-grade instrument that once every second measures ion signals from hundreds of different volatile organic compounds, or VOCs. So we're able to use it to quickly scan an area and screen it for signals of interest. This platform was designed for community air monitoring as part of our AB 617 program.
Meta-analysis is crucial for providing information on PM sources. Filters are cut and microwave digested in a nitric acid solution. That solution is nebulized, the aerosol is dissolved, vaporized, atomized, and ionized by the 5,000 degree plasma before being detected.
This is one of our gas chromatograph mass spectrometers. We use this instrument to analyze samples of VOCs. Samples are collected in stainless steel canisters lined with silica to provide an inert environment. We analyze for over 60 compounds using EPA method 215.
Behind me, you can see one of our two laboratory chambers for evaluating the performance of air quality sensors under our AQ-Spec program. AQSPEC, which stands for Air Quality Sensor Performance Evaluation Center, was established by the South Coast AQMD in 2014 to evaluate the performance of commercially available air quality sensors both in the field and in the laboratory, and to communicate the testing results to the public.
The South Coast AQMD Laboratory is the foundation for air quality measurements and a catalyst for innovation for the nation. Through our teamwork and research, we strive to protect the air we breathe and create a sustainable future for generations to come, one data point at a time. Thank you for joining.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Stephen.
Yeah. So that's a very, very brief overview of maybe a small fraction of what we do in the lab, but I'm happy to take any questions. I wasn't sure how many questions you guys would have, so if there are none, I brought some like show and tell stuff too, but figured first let's tackle any questions anybody might have. Josh.
I do have a question. So back at my lab, I've been working on bringing a GC by GC TOF-MS back up. Do you have any kind of three-dimensional or like GC by GC systems in the lab?
Yeah, we actually just got one for our multiple air toxic exposure study that we just started. So we're trying to develop a new method to look at polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons.
Nice.
Using,
Say that 5 times fast.
So yeah, right now, part of MATES is kind of trying to push the science a little bit. And one aspect of that is we call them PAHs for short. And historically, that's been done using what we call a polyurethane foam sampling setup. It's very labor intensive. And so what we're trying to do now is use a much more simplified setup. We call them thermal desorption tubes to measure the same compounds, but in a much more efficient way, using a method or an instrument that's a lot more sophisticated. So yeah, so we're trying that out now. Prior to that, no, we didn't. I think we experimented with some three-dimensional systems, but it was kind of more really beyond what we needed to do.
Okay. Very cool.
Anything else? Yeah.
So I was wondering if, I know you guys are super busy, especially in MAD, if there's ever been, collaborations between like the different universities around for research purposes, or if you ever loan instrumentation and whatnot.
Yeah, we do a lot of collaborations. One right now that we're ramping up is again part of MATES. It's the topic du jour right now that we're looking at ethylene oxide. So that's one aspect of this this go round of MATES, is trying to figure out not only what background concentrations of ethylene oxide are in the basin, but also what the source of it is. It's something that worldwide nobody really has a lot of insight into right now. For those that aren't familiar, ethylene oxide is a compound that's particularly carcinogenic that EPA revised their risk assessment a few years ago and basically lowered the cancer, we'll call it cancer threshold, by about a factor of 10. So it's very concerning. It represents a lot of the risk in our basin now. So we're trying to figure out where it's coming from. So we're doing a partnership with UC Riverside that's gearing up right now. Their CSERT center over there looking at chamber studies for ethylene oxide and trying to figure out if there's any secondary formation of it that might be leading to the background concentrations we're seeing in the basin. But we've done a lot of other partnerships with UCI, UCLA, a lot of universities in the area for different stuff that we're looking at. Yeah. We tend to lean more on academia for these kind of researchy or more into that research realm. So like UC Riverside has some huge chambers they can conduct some of these air studies in. So it's like we can lean on them, we can provide them an instrument. So we're giving them an instrument they can look at ethylene oxide at a very low concentration as part of this, and then funding them to do this study for the next year or so.
I had another question, sorry. So you mentioned these PAHs and ethylene oxide, but are there any other pollutants that you're more concerned with now that you're looking at, especially for the MATES study?
I mean, MATES is supposed to represent kind of like a global picture of air toxics exposure to the general population in the basin. So we take a very holistic approach and looking kind of at everything and trying to figure out, how that picture might be shifting over time. Another thing we typically do with mates is we pick a few specific areas, like I was saying, to push the science. One of those is ethylene oxide. Another area is brake and tire wear. So we're collaborating with UC Irvine on the brake and tire wear front and UCLA to look at, what's coming off of brakes and tires that might be contributing to air pollution, especially for those that live close to freeways in particular. So, I think you had a question.
Yeah, I wanted to know more about the community monitoring. It seems like it's a part of a specific plan. So what area do you usually go to, and are you able to go outside of that plan or whatever it was intended?
Yes, there's a bunch of community monitoring that we do. There's a lot involved with AB 617, as you guys might be aware. We're working with specific communities to develop those community air monitoring plans and figure out what the priorities are for those individual communities. It could be, related to industrial operations. It could be related to trucks. It could be related to warehouses and so on and so forth. That's part of 617. We also do community monitoring around refineries as part of our Rule 1180 program. So we're looking at anything that might come off of a refinery in the communities surrounding those refineries. And there's a lot of special studies that we've done over the years that target, particular pollutants in communities that we've identified as, pollutants of interest.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good questions. Yeah.
I was wondering, where could we find any reports that you may be publishing that outlines a summary of your findings, different pollutants in different areas?
Yeah, there's a bunch on our website, there's a bunch of community air monitoring pages. So you can find one for the LA wildfires, for instance. So we're doing about 4 months of monitoring in the Eaton and Palisades areas directly after the LA wildfires. There's a page for ethylene oxide, where we're looking at sterilization facilities in the basin. There's pages for other, hexavalent chromium, various asphalt facilities, and so on and so forth. But there's that. Rule 1180 has its own monitoring network page. AB 617 has its own monitoring network page, and all that data for those particular networks is a lot of it's real time. So it's all kind of streamed to those websites. So you can see both up-to-date information as well as historical, and pull that data down if you want to do your own data analysis and look at it. Yeah.
So the data you're just mentioning, I've actually taken a lot of looks at the data and analyzed it myself, especially for the inland monitors. And something I've been talking about in my research is where the monitors placed. And something I've noticed is the inland, there's not a lot of inland monitors, at least compared to LA. Is there any talks in increasing the monitors in San Bernardino and Riverside, especially with concern for the communities and heavy trucking areas with the warehousing or the rail yards or not?
Yeah, so siting monitors is a very difficult task, as you may be aware. Not only is it, we want to find sites that are representative for the population area, but also there's a bunch of EPA siting criteria that we have to adhere to ensure we're not being, influenced by some local source. And then we have to find a parcel of land or whatever, or someone's able to lease us that land for the long term. So we have expanded, probably 5-10 years ago, we added a lot of the 16-year road site is one that's kind of out towards that. It ends up being potentially one of our design value sites. For mates, we're now adding a site out in the Coachella Valley. So we are trying to expand as we can into these areas where maybe we didn't have a significant number of monitors in the past. So that is something that we're constantly evaluating and looking into. As far as immediate plans for San Bernardino, I don't have anything that I know of, but that is something we're constantly evaluating in Richmond.
Thank you.
Richard?
Yeah. To piggyback on that one, I'm from the Coachella Valley, so after Tropical Storm Hill, there's just been a myriad of issues, and I know our county supervisor, that's also on the governing board, has been kind of bringing those issues to light and trying to bring everyone at the table. Has your team seen or have gotten any closer to identifying what exactly resulted from Tropical Storm Hillary?
That's not something I could probably speak to. It's not been a particular topic that's been on my plate, not to say someone else in the division or even the air quality analysis group hasn't looked at it. That'd have to be something that get back to. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. Question.
Yeah, this group, you don't need to even bring your stuff.
I know. I'm running out of lab training to grab some case.
Yeah, like now.
Not needed.
All right. Okay. And so if folks did want to get an actual lab, is that really available for folks?
Or a tour of the lab?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we try to do them the last Fridays of the month. We do a lot of tours, so we can try to consolidate them so it didn't impact our daily workload too much. But yeah, definitely LCAM will coordinate, any tour requests and make it happen.
We would have to do it a little differently, I think, legal, right? Because it would be Brown Act kind of stuff if they all went, they couldn't all go as a group on the fourth Friday of the month, right? Because of that. So I think there might be some limitations, but if there would be interest in you all going to the lab, you just let us know and we can make it happen. All right. All right. So because I'm going to take public comment, is there any public comment on the presentation from the lab? None.
Hands raised.
And none in the room? All right. It's good to finally see you in person. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Hey, carry all that stuff and y'all didn't even ask. It's all good. Awesome. All right. So next up on our agenda is community spotlight. So this is, we set aside about 20 minutes for you all to elevate or spotlight any issues or concerns or events that are going on within your respective communities that you'd like to share with the group. If you have anything, just go ahead and indicate. You can either raise your placard up or just raise your hand, whichever, just to kind of share what's going on. And again, it could be just what's giving us a perspective of what's going on in your communities, any events that's going on, or just any observations you'd like to elevate to the entire group.
I have one. So I'm from Southgate. I said that last meeting, but one thing that I did notice, I barely started going to the library. It's Hollydale Library. I live on the other side of 710, more near towards Paramount. And I saw, and I was waiting for the restroom, so I was just being observant. I saw a document that AQMD had renewed the Title V permit for World Oil Corp on Garfield. And that's something has to be, and I noticed and I was like, oh, I want to appeal or something or have a comment email. And because when I take the 258 down there, around 5, it's nauseating, it smells the order. So I feel like there has to be some gap where us community members have to be more aware, something that helps us be able to. And I barely realized today where I was like, oh, this whole time when I smelled that, I could have been calling it in.
Mm-hmm.
And even me being aware and educated, I did not know that stuff. So there has to be something where it's outlined and we're helping the community recognize it and take the correct steps to address it. So that's my observation in my area, kind of issue. And then it's hard to bring that up to city council when they're very closed off. And profit is something that they put before people in Southgate. So that's my, yeah.
Is it public? It's Harvey for public comment, right? So wait for public comment.
Yeah, we can
Okay,
wait for public comment.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So I see you, Harvey. So the one thing that I would also say again, 1-800-CUT SMOG, but I would say that it also is, and this is kind of the what we talk about is people, right? People who are oh, I'm so destined to have to deal with this. So then they just kind of are broken and they don't even call the number, right? So there's a piece of this where it's we have to get people to call the number, right? Because they will address the issues, right? They track every single call, every single solitary call. And so, I go to my meetings every week with my folks, my deputies who are other deputies, and we get a report of the weekend, every single weekend of what calls. But the thing is, if people are so don't want to even call, that's the part where I'm ugh, I really want to encourage them. So I think that We definitely want to hear any thoughts of what we can do to increase people's usage of 1-800-CUT-SMOG. I know one of the reasons why they have an app is to be able to make it easier and so forth, but I definitely agree with you. But to get people to not be resolved to just say, oh, it stinks and I'm just gonna deal with it. But yeah, I hear you and I appreciate your comment. Other things? Yes, go ahead.
I like to bring awareness to warehouses that are being built in the Inland Empire. I think Heaven addressed that in the previous discussion, but Ontario is building a lot of massive warehouses. I mean, they've been doing that for years, but what makes this especially significant, especially as a Chino resident, is that it's right next across the street from where they're going to be building affordable housing, where we have a grocery store, daycare. And the interesting thing is that the street I live on, semi-trucks aren't even allowed to drive on there. And they still do it, but they speed. And I'm just...
you said trucks are not allowed.
Yeah, I live on Schaefer, and Schaefer does not allow multi-wheel semi-trucks to go. So, but because there's the warehouses there, they're going to be having to kind of illegally, access the street. Shakes all the houses like it's an earthquake. So that's just something I like to bring awareness to, especially since it's not our city. We're Chino, it's Ontario, we're it's kind of the border area. So, and it's just miles and miles. It's going to be warehouses soon in the next maybe 10 years.
You said that's Ontario. Is that East Ontario or just Ontario?
It's like, so I live on, it's like where Euclid is. And it's like the farmlands in like Southern Ontario, like the Western area, I guess.
I have a question about that. Have they changed like the zoning for that area or like, do you know about it?
To my understanding, I believe like the majority of the properties on like the Euclid Street will be warehouses. I know they're already changing doing construction on the street to make it accommodations for heavier vehicles. But I don't know if there's other properties slated to be residential or multi-purpose, but I think it may be majority warehouse, but don't call me on that.
There's opportunities to go to like the city meetings if they're trying to rezone the land there, so maybe we can look into that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other issues, concerns, events that folks want to elevate? Yes.
I just wanted to piggyback off of what he was saying. So in the Inland Empire, I feel like there's recently been like a renaissance of like artists like coming out and filmmakers and stuff. So there's this film festival that's happening. It's like a grassroots film festival called the Inland Film Festival. And I think it's happening in September on like the second week or so. So you can Google that. I don't exactly know the dates. But yeah, there's been like filmmakers who highlight like the warehouse industry and the logistics industry and how that's impacting our air quality and the livelihoods of people. Secondly, I wanted to highlight a program called the Experience Metrolink Free Rail Pass program. So the IE commuter program is working with Riverside County and San Bernardino County transit agencies, so RCTC and SBCTA. And they're offering riders 90 days for free to ride the Metrolink for free. You just have to be a resident of Riverside or San Bernardino County, and you can use it for leisure or for work. But all you have to do is sign up. And if you're like a first-time user, it's like a great program to try it. So it's not intimidating, and you can like just go to the beach or you can go anywhere on the Metrolink map. So I just wanted to highlight that program.
I'm going to just call on you, Arlene. And so Arlene Farrosaria is our manager over in our SEEP division, which is our community engagement air programs division, and is organizing our second annual All CSC event. And one of those was someone who we're inviting to participate is, and I can't remember her name.
Sophia Figueroa, who is a filmmaker on warehouses and rail. She has a couple of videos, and one of her films actually received an award.
Yeah.
So she's gonna hopefully we're still in some chats, but we're hoping to share that at our upcoming event in October.
So we're trying to get her to come and be a part of the all CSC. But so I'm just saying, look at us old folks being plugged in. So yeah, so I think that's amazing that she, and she's also a young filmmaker. So she, and so, again, I just gotta keep telling y'all, like, seriously, like, y'all being impacted by this, whatever we can do to elevate your voices, that would be awesome. So that's another way that we wanted to elevate the young voice, is by inviting her to participate in this all CSC. So that was just more validating for you, but also validating for you to know that we're on the right track. So yeah, awesome. Other things that folks like to elevate? Yes.
I work with Public Matters, and we are doing a corridor connections, rutas, and raíces event on September 7th. It's part of a grander mobility corridors plan for East Los Angeles, and there's a lot of it is because there's a high concentration of collisions on a lot of streets in LA County. And so they've highlighted 3 specific corridors in East LA: Cesar Chavez, Eastern Avenue, and Ford Boulevard. And so part of the issue with those streets is that the 710 runs right along. And so the hope with this plan is that it will take people outside and use active transportation and use cars less. And so make the streets more people friendly. But a lot of people's concerns is the air quality because of the 710 freeway. And there's Ford Boulevard is used as a mini highway for a lot of truck drivers. And so there's also safety concerns. So we're going to be doing mapping activities and like DIY, like crafting stations for visors. And we're going to have Metro doing the life program there as well. But if anyone's interested, that's going to be on Sunday, September 7th. And then as well, I wanted to highlight the Week Without Driving. That is September 29th through October 5th. So it's it's a national challenge for people to go a week without driving. And I know it's particularly in our counties that is very difficult to do. But I think LA County is doing like kind of like a coalition with different groups like Lonnie, we're doing it at Bike LA, and a ton of other LA pedestrian cyclist organizations to highlight that week and encourage community members to at least go a day without driving and try to, one, lower pollution, but also try to see how there's other consumers who don't use cars and what can we do to highlight those experiences for them. So we are doing a social media campaign for highlighting people who already don't use cars and within East LA. So, yeah.
And what city did you say that this was? The Ford Boulevard? What city?
That's East LA.
East LA.
Yeah, unincorporated.
Unincorporated East LA. I live in Paramount. I mean, don't know, I need to know my address or whatever, but I live in Paramount. And so quite oftentimes, if I have to go into downtown or to the city or whatever, I've been just mindful of how I get there. And so I am doing my best to not stir up too much, but like I have been going into other neighborhoods, like but I recognize that I'm driving in other neighborhoods too. And so there's car action on that one. But sometimes I've just gone in there and just maybe gone into restaurants or doing something to kind of like reduce my footprint a little bit. But to see what is going on there. So I just recently went out to Ontario to be able to see all the warehouses and I mean, it's daunting. It's just daunting. It feels very prison-y, if that's the phrase. But not at all a landscape that feels occupied with people, right? It just feels, and so when the whole things around zoning and stuff like that, it's like people weren't supposed to live amongst this. And so I'm just finding myself in those spaces of which I'm trying to learn more, but at the same time, not contribute to it. So I appreciate everything you mentioned about like not driving a week, but I'm also being mindful, like, okay, sometimes we got to be in these spaces to be able to see. So how can we do that? So I'm just trying to figure out how we can better educate without being voyeurs into the neighborhoods, right? Like, oh, let's go see how bad it is. Like, you don't want to do that, right? But still understand what it's like. So thank you for sharing. I see Jessica's hand is up online.
Hello, everyone. I would like to bring, can you guys hear me well? Yes, thank you. Okay, so I would like to bring attention today to a proposed rule change from the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency. About a month ago, the EPA announced their proposal to rescind the 2009 greenhouse gas endangerment finding. This rule is essential for allowing the federal government to regulate greenhouse gas emissions, particularly for mobile sources. The reason I bring this up is because a public hearing window or a public comment window is open through September 22nd, 2025. I encourage everyone as young activists in this space, members of the council, to look into this issue and consider submitting a public comment either by email or online. Right now, there is a virtual hearing occurring. I presented yesterday morning, and the hearings will continue until Friday. So if you are interested in submitting a Zoom-based comment, you can find the information in this link that I shared to the chat, but it is essential that we as people who live in an area, in a region that is dominated by the freight and trucking industry, to stand up and defend this rule, because without this rule, the federal government does not have the ability to place pressure on automobile and vehicle manufacturers to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And especially considering the connections from the ports in Long Beach all the way to the Inland Empire to the warehouses, it's essential that we protect this top-down rule to prevent further contamination in our communities. So I encourage everyone to please submit and share with anyone who you feel may be interested. I've been so inspired hearing some of the other commentators, some wonderful high school students, academics, etc. This is the time to raise awareness without this issue, because without this rule, the US government loses its teeth in its fight against climate change. So we need to make sure this rule stays protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. I know a lot of folks here are not in the chat. So Heather, can we make sure that the link that Jessica just provided, we can send out electronically to folks?
Yes.
Okay, so Jessica, we will do that. So not everybody is on that. So thank you so much for that. All right. Oh, right over here. Yes.
I wanted to, I think this dovetails well with some of the events you were talking about, but Ciclavia, which is happening in historic South Central to Watts, it is going to be on September 14th from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., where essentially a good chunk of Central Avenue will be essentially a car-free zone, and it's for folks who don't know, it's a really wonderful event. Folks are walking, folks are on their bikes. I really love that event as someone who I actually don't drive at all. I take public transit everywhere. Took public transit to get here. I was talking to Jordan about how much of a trek it was to get here from Exhibition Park, but it's a really wonderful event, especially as we think about how do we influence and change our built environment, physical infrastructure to not revolve around cars, to be centered around people and the way that people live their life. So we definitely encourage folks to go. I also, on August 30th at UCLA, there's the Seeds of Change Summit, which is specifically for youth and young climate activists. There's going to be a bunch of different workshops on learning how to get more involved in whatever issue that you particularly care about in the climate space. It's going to be an all-day summit, so also encourage folks to go to that.
Question that I would pose to you all right now is I share with my friends and family members like the world is on fire. Like it feels like that. So even when we were just talking, Vanessa and I were talking at the very beginning of the meeting, and it was like, how are you doing? It's like, I'm fine doesn't necessarily indicate it, but it's kind of like what you say. And And I'm trying to be a little bit more authentic and not truly saying fine, but at the same time, I'm not wanting to tell y'all all my business, right? And so what I would ask of all of you all, like, how are your communities handling all that is happening? What are the things that you are seeing that how people are getting through this, or are they getting through this? I just would ask any insights. And when I say this, it'll be whatever you all think, right? So I don't want to say, oh, it's this particular thing, because there's multiple things happening at the same time. There's an intersection of things that are happening at the same time. And so what are some of the strategies that you all see people dealing with this? Anyone? Joshua?
So as a result of some decisions by current administrations, there have been a number of my friends who have lost their jobs. And it's a very real thing to consider that the space that I've been working to as well is kind of under threat. It's really, really hard to sit and watch in a place where I'm getting educated and trying to enter the space I've wanted to for years, and to know that it might not be there. It's depressing. My friends who have lost their jobs, it's devastating because they don't have the security or the livelihood that they had counted on. And I might have to pivot. And that's really scary because this is stuff that I love. But something that I have picked up from history, and exploring things like art and art history, especially, is that as we're moving forward, it's really important that we try to embrace community and unity. Because when we are being pushed to be separated from the communities that we live in, the communities that live with each other, and the spaces that we share, the moment we become more and more divided is the moment that we lose. It is really important, despite the efforts of certain administrations to try and destroy things such as DEI, that we keep positive. We have to keep working with each other, and we have to keep united. Unity is one of the only things that can help us shift what's going on. And by informing each other and by staying together, I think that we have a lot better of a shot than just laying down and letting it happen. So thank you for being in space with me here today, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Heaven?
Also along that note, like academia feels like a really unsafe place to be right now, especially with funding, jobs. I know people who recently graduated or are going to graduate, and they're like, they've lost hope on finding a job. I've known people with like government environmental jobs, and they're constantly on the edge. Their department is going to get cut loose. And so, this extends beyond just academia to the entire environmental field. And now I've seen like comments online of like, young people are like, is this even worthy to go into? Like people who want to go to college, they're like, if the environmental field changes with every single administration, like, is it worth it? And now it's like, this is one of the fields where, years ago was projected to kind of skyrocket because we have so many environmental issues, but it feels like we're at a point where we've kind of hit a wall, especially with the change in each administration. And it's really hard on people. And there's a lot of infighting in academia now with money. A lot of grad students that I know are more depressed than usual because, we're losing funding or there's threats and it's kind of a lot of pressure. And then like we have to have, less TA-ships, and that puts pressure not just on us, but the department and also the students that, we're supposed to be teaching. And so it all kind of trickles down to, not just us grad students, but the incoming students, first years, second years, third years, fourth years. People have kind of, almost lost hope. And it's sad to see, but I've found that a lot of people are, interacting with their community more. And I feel like, individualism kind of had us for a while, but to try and, stop this divisiveness, people are just coming together more and finding more common ground. At least that's what I've seen since, a lot of us are being affected, so we can all come together and complain together. So that's what I've seen.
My kiddo is currently in community college, but let me know that they're really nervous at all about going to a 4-year. And they said, okay, would you be okay if I stayed at home? Because they didn't feel safe going into a dorming situation, that kind of thing or whatever. And what I have seen was a resurgence to go back to the community, to go back and not just, so I'm not saying anything about higher education. I'm born and bred in higher education. I got a doctorate degree. I'm not mad at higher education. But what I'm seeing is if this is something that can turn people into their communities more, so that it isn't like an us versus them dynamic, but there's more that we need to invest in communities. And so that's at least the narrative that I got from my 20-year-old, right? So that's the young person I listen to at my house. And so I think that there is something to be learned for how you all are getting information, how you all are sharing information. Those narratives, I think we all can learn from those things. But definitely how you all can be in community with each other. That I think is a lifeline that needs to really be kind of sort of stoked and supported. So any other last comments before we go to public comment? All right, Vanessa and then Jessica, and then we'll go to Harvey.
I feel really sad that a lot of folks are going through college and some of the more formative years and these really tumultuous times. It really shapes your college experience and the way you're going to make friendships and everything. So we definitely don't want to downplay. I don't like when generations fight about, Gen Z this, Gen Z that. It's let's be united. Let's, support each other and stuff. Go to community, you'll find that you have more in common, even with people that aren't that similar to you. You have a lot in common with them if you're at events. Social media is just on your phone, and the comment section is, there's a lot of people there, but you're not really there with those folks. So these spaces are so important, and that's all I want to say.
No, I appreciate that. Jessica, and then we'll go to public comment.
Thank you. To echo what everyone has shared, tapping into community in times that are stressful is essential, and tapping into our in-person communities is really where the healing power of in-person engagement is discovered. Yes, it's great to have connections online, but particularly through social media algorithms, a lot of information can get pushed our way that distorts how we perceive what's happening in the outside world. So checking in with loved ones, friends, mentors, colleagues can be a great way to not only check in on each other, but also get a reality check and, realize that we're all feeling a certain kind of way about all of the dramatic changes that we are witnessing in our world. And as someone who's worked in peace building for a few years, when times are chaotic, one of the most important things that we can do as individuals is find opportunities for common ground. And this doesn't even necessarily have to be around discussion. One of the things that has brought me a lot of peace as well as wellness to my neighbors has been music. I carry an ukulele with me everywhere I go. I take public transit every day. So seeing the abilities of people whose minds are everywhere to unify to a melody, to a song, is something that can relax our nervous systems and remind us that despite our differences, there is still common humanity, and reminding ourselves of this is so important, and we need to keep this in mind, not only for the people that we share our communities with, but also for ourselves, reminding ourselves to check in and do things that bring you joy every day. Because working in the environmental space in 2025 is a road to burnout, but it doesn't have to be that way. And I trust we all can do things to take care of ourselves, because this field will still be here. Even though the US seems to be going in a backwards direction, we will still be here doing this work alongside folks in the global community who see the same issues that we see. So do not get discouraged.
Wait, I've also learned this, say less, which is total counterintuitive to, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be quiet. So thank you so much, thank you. All right, so if there are no other comments from YLAC members, we'll open it up for public comment. I see 2 hands up, so ever so patient. We'll open it up for Harvey, Eder, and then followed by Moses, which I wonder if it's Moses Huerta, but Moses I see on the screen. So Harvey, we can unmute Harvey. Does Harvey have to mute himself?
No, I've asked him to unmute, but
Harvey, are you there? Are you still there? Are you with us? We need you to unmute. Go ahead and line Moses up if we can do that, because Moses just raised his hand.
Okay. Moses is unmuted.
Moses, you're unmuted? It is Moses. Hello.
Yes, hello, I apologize. I didn't put my last name in there. Didn't want to mistake. Professor Santos, good to see you. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today, Dr. Sessa. And young leaders, thank you for your sharing everything that you've done. This is one of my favorite meetings to attend to, because I learned a lot from your conversations and your input today. I want to support and uplift what Dr. Santos says. You're not alone in this journey. We're all together in this fight. The environment is important to everyone. We are stronger together in sharing our experiences, our knowledge, and also our fears and concerns, because that's how we will get together through this. So I want to highlight that for you. I'm doing work out here, as Professor Santos mentioned. It's important, and I've done this work with the support like you young leaders are out there. A lot of this work is going to be passed on to you, and see it to continue and work on. So it might be a little dire, it might feel that way. Don't be discouraged. I feel the same way. I have 3 younger brothers who work in the federal government who are constantly being battled right now. So I share the concern and the comments were there before. So we all have a certain connection. So please stay engaged. Your voice matters. And as Professor Santos mentioned earlier, there's some voting that's going to happen. That's important when we talk to air quality, as you're involved in. Get informed, get in the game, as they say, and continue. I have your back, as others there in the AQMD and all around you. So thank you again for sharing your information, and I really appreciate everyone's time today. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Moses. Harvey, if you press, I think 6 to unmute, star 6 to unmute, that might help if you're still listening. All right, we're going to keep moving forward, but know that we might stop if Harvey is able to join us. All right, so any other public comments in the room? Nope. Okay, we are good to go. Thank you. All right, so engagement opportunities. So this is the time for us to be able to share any kind of upcoming engagement opportunities that you all will be able to potentially participate in. Certainly, our governing board meetings are open to the public on the first Friday of the month. We also have what I call our community steering committee meetings that are in each of our 6 AB 617 communities. I believe we did share a calendar. Is that written materials that were in the calendar here so that you can see all of the information that's even available to us. Did we have Arlene being able to speak to the October 25th event? Could you want to speak to that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we added it to the list there. So on October 25th, we're holding our second annual all CSC meeting. And so in the past, what we did last year is we invited all 6 of our AB 670 communities to come into space together here at the district. And so that's all the way from Eastern Coachella Valley, Wilmington, Carson, West Long Beach, and every place in between for our AB 670 communities. We're doing that again this year. It's going to be held October 25th. And again, it's an opportunity for them to do some cross-community engagement, talk about what's working, what are some of the projects that they can continue to move forward, how to strategize on the CERP objectives that have been prioritized in their plans, and then the opportunity to network with one another. There's going to be a chance to meet with other communities that have been part of the AB 617 program, but we're not quite designated as an AB 617 community. So there's going to be opportunity for that dialogue as well. And so last year we had over, just a little under 200 folks come in, and about 100 of those were community members. And so we're excited that we get to do that again and be in space with them and just recognize them for sticking it out. This is the year that we're actually reaching the 5th year of our program. And so it's a pretty important highlighted year to have that space to dialogue. So we'll keep you posted. The official flyers on the way, but the save the date is out, and folks can register to participate in that too.
The one thing that I would just add in real talk is to bring communities in space together is not the default. To bring community in space together at AQMD isn't necessarily the default, especially from the lens of AQMD. And so lessons that we learned by bringing that into space is that what we're hearing from other air districts is wanting to do the same. What we're hearing from CARB is wanting to do the same, to potentially have regional convenings of our AB 617 communities, to ultimately having a statewide convening of all the people who are AB 617 communities, because folks need to be in space with each other, not in competition with each other. So really, truly coming together for that. And so we are, as we in the office kind of, even though COVID is resurgence, I heard as an 8% kind of increase in COVID cases recently, but we are doing community days now. So where we have one day in the office, one day our staff are going into the community. And so if you all are aware, there is CARB kind of have a process for what they call consistently nominated communities. And these are communities that did not receive AB 617 funds, but CARB has allocated money to be able to do work with these communities now, but it just won't be necessarily the same kind of community-driven work that was done with the CSC. It's meant to kind of sort of like go in and maybe do a couple projects for them. They also would have what's called community air grants, which means that there are certain community-based organizations and cities who applied for funding from CARB to be able to do specific projects, educational projects, monitoring projects, just a litany of different potential things that are driven from the community. And so we have what's called consistently nominated communities, right? And so if any of these, I'm just gonna do a couple of them. This is where I'm like, we gonna need y'all help, because we gonna come visit y'all. Like, we're gonna be in your community with our community days. Our seed team is gonna be coming to visit with you all if y'all are amenable. So if any of these cities are like adjacent to you or part of you or your community where you're in, like, raise your hand. Bloomington, Fontana, Rialto, Buena Park, Anaheim, Fullerton, Orange, Central and East Riverside, Rubidoux, Chicado, Summit, Colton, Grand Terrace, San Bernardino, Compton, Rancho, Dominguez, Willowbrook, Linwood, Corona, Temescal Valley, El Monte, South El Monte, Avocado Heights, Hacienda Heights, La Fuente, Bassett, Gardena, Alondra Park, Lawndale, Inglewood, Hawthorne, Westmont, Vermont. Okay, sorry, that's just 10, right? Maywood, East Commerce, Vernon, Bell, Miraloma, Rupa Valley, Eastvale, Pedley, Pacoima, North Hollywood, Sun Valley, San Fernando, Sylmar, Paramount, North Long Beach, Rancho Cucamonga, Ontario East, Santa Ana, Torrance, Van Nuys, Westlake, Koreatown, Mid-City, Mid-Wilshire. Those are 19, or excuse me, those are 57 cities. Ooh, I can read. But those are 19 CNCs, community, consistently nominated communities, in which we are about to go out and find out what do these communities want to have happen? What can we do to be able to reduce the emissions in these communities? That is my task for the next couple of years. Word. So what I'm going to ask of you all is we would like you all to invite us out to your communities, right? So we'd like to come out to where you all are and give tours and take us to the places and do that. Our community engagement and air programs division goes out every Friday. And so it could be events that you already have in play, or it could just be visiting with you all. You taking us on tours, or you just walking us through and being in space with each other. We would encourage you, and it's just individuals. So it's not like this is, what do you call that? We're not violating Brown Act, right? I'm making sure we're not violating Brown Act. But we're hoping that you would invite us, because I don't just want you all to tell us in this space. I want to come and see what y'all are talking about, right? So if you all are willing, we'd like you to invite us out, right? So Heather's going to send an email out to you all and saying, okay, if you all are okay with us coming out, we'd like to come out and visit with you all and see what's going on in your spaces. Did I get a thumbs up if folks, if y'all gonna send me invite?
It's
Don't
only
make me-
117 in the Coachella Valley. So if you guys want to go follow me, by all means.
We know about it, like we don't know, but
Either on Friday, actually.
right. So yeah, so if you all, we would greatly appreciate that. So we can engage outside of this space, but to see what you all are seeing. The only way that we're going to know more is to be in that space. So I would encourage you and just, do that. Invite myself for you to invite me. All right. Okay. All right. So
I actually have a comment on
Sure.
one of the special events.
Mhm.
So for the Mecca event on Friday,
Yes.
something to be mindful of, it's a agriculture community. And because of the current administration, a lot of ag has gone to work at night. So this might interfere with them being able to participate at 4 p.m.
Gotcha.
So just something to be mindful of.
Thank you, appreciate that.
and this isn't our event, like this, we're just uplifting someone else's
It's through
event.
Alianza, but they're part of our community steering committee.
Yeah. Gotcha. That is. And I think, to be honest, I appreciate you saying that, we as an agency are being incredibly mindful of how things are changing for community members and how they engage. And so there was a time in which we're not doing fully in-person meetings, that we're doing hybrid meetings so that people can participate virtually, because we recognize that some folks aren't necessarily being comfortable. So even with our event that we're talking about on Saturday, October 25th, we're including some virtual components to it, so that people will feel still able to participate, but also recognizing that they might feel safe to do so.
That's awesome.
Right. So, and I think that I'm not telling anybody anything that y'all don't know, but like we already the government. And so folks can still are you, cooperating? Are you working with other groups for the federal government and not feeling comfortable enough, and so they're taking a risk if they choose to participate. So we just want to acknowledge that that's one of the realities that we've observed and seen and try to find out an alternative for people to participate. So thank you. Awesome. All right. So I've already pushed myself upon you all gently, not so gently. All right. And so next up, we have other business. Is that right?
No, one thing I wanted to point out really quick is the rule forecast that's been included with the other materials.
Oh, please.
Working group meetings are scheduled 2 weeks in advance, but this calendar is a list of everything that's coming up. So if you want to make your voices heard, this is an excellent opportunity to do it. If you go to our website, aqmd.gov, under the calendar section, you'll be able to see the little bubbles pop up. We encourage you to attend.
So unfortunately, our guest speaker is not going to be able to join us. So Mark Lopez with East Yards is not going to be able to join us today. My apologies for that. We just got notifications. But before we go there, the engagement opportunities, I'm just making sure that, did we do public comment for that? No. So do we have any public comment for the community engagement opportunities section of our meeting event?
No hands in the room.
And none. Okay, excellent. All right. All right. So is there any, we're in the part where we do other business. So is there any member of the committee who would like to ask for any kind of clarification or make any announcements on any other portions that we have not had an opportunity to do?
If I could make a suggestion, provided that I think next meeting might be our last meeting for this year. If we could potentially explore looking at our, not necessarily bylaws, but the governing documents pertaining to the YLAC, see if we have any suggestions for future years and seeing how the rest of the council feels about our work and how much we're adding to it.
Sure. Speaking my work love language. All right, so I think that we have a suggestion to provide a copy of the governing bylaws document for YLAC to the group. I don't think we need to have a motion. And so what we're asking for is to have folks review that in the time in which we're there so that we could put on the agenda for the next meeting any revisions or suggestions to the bylaws. Does that sound right? All right, do I need to make a motion for that?
You can, yeah. And I think you're talking about the charter. The charter is attached online under your site on our webpage. And so it would probably involve, as a group making comments, and I think it would have to go through, I'm assuming, admin.
Yes, for sure. So yeah, so we could make the recommendations and it would move forward. Okay. All right. So we are making a motion to have the YLAC group review the YLAC charter. I'll
make that motion.
Make a motion. And then we need a second.
Second.
Seconded by, say your name.
Jose Marquez Cuevas.
Jose. And so the goal would be to review the bylaws, the charter for YLAC, and make any suggestions, come to the next meeting with any suggestions for potential revisions and so forth for the next year's group. Okay, does that make? All right, all those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Okay, hands down. All those opposed? Any abstentions? 1700 is what I got. Excellent. Okay. All right. And I like that idea. So the other thing too is this will be the last meeting of the year, will be the November meeting, but we will also start to receive information from us if you all would like to continue. So this is also at the same time in which we will say to you all, we would say, would you like to continue? Thank you for your service. Would you like to continue? It's also when we would, we still have positions open. And so we would also encourage you to let us know if there's anyone else. So we do actually do an open process so we can have that available as well. So you will get communication from us between now and the November meeting about recruiting. We also have mentioned this to our outgoing group of governing board interns from this summer. And so we also had some interest from those folks to be able to continue. But again, I like the idea of coming up with changes, any suggestions, and then what, really and truly we can move forward to. I love the idea of strategically planning and getting ahead of it so that we can do some things up into the new year. Again, the theme of being organized and being together and staying in community, I want to kind of reiterate that. All right. So is there any public comment on anything that we have discussed or anything that has not been discussed? I have public comment from Moses Huerta.
Thank you, appreciate the opportunity. Just really quick, I wanted to highlight something that's for you young leaders to connect to your conversations today. There is currently a project that I've been working on for a better part of a year with the state of California. It's a mobile statewide monitoring initiative. You probably already seen some of the vehicles drive around with monitors. So I want to encourage you to take advantage of the tour that was mentioned earlier with the labs there at AQMD. It's a great opportunity to learn about those types of monitoring activities. It's the knowledge that's going to be gathered, that's going to be shared with all the AB 617 communities. That's currently where it's being implemented now. Part of this initiative is to impart knowledge and try to hopefully get some additional information on what we know and don't know. So I just wanted to highlight that with you and share that knowledge. And considering you young leaders there, take advantage of that tour. I took it before. It's pretty cool. So thank you for the opportunity to comment. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Moses. Okay. If there are no other comments, our next meeting date is on Wednesday, November 19th at 12:30. We look forward to being in space with you. So thank you all much. This adjourns our August YLAC meeting at 1:52. Thank you, everyone.